Jack, we failed yesterday.
What happened?
We didn't make Adam Pacitti cry live on Twitch.
Oh, right, okay.
We presented him with our gift that we had all lovingly bought. Not even one tear. I was ready for some Pacitti tears last night.
I feel cheated, to be honest, Tom.
I think we should try again next year. We need to try harder next year. Better present next year, more teary present next year. We will be bacteria. Here is your wrestling news. Reactionary decisions are to be made after the lowest WWE Raw rating ever. Kenny Omega's in-ring Impact debut has been confirmed. And a WWE Hall of Famer is praising Pat McAfee. Find out who in a little bit. We can literally say this morning, Jack, worst Raw ever. Awful ratings, sir. What happened?
Various things happened. One of the big reasons, I think, but you can never, it doesn't mean that it wasn't the worst Raw rating ever, but there was a big, exciting NFL football game on at the same time, the Baltimore Ravens and the Cleveland Browns, but, there's been big football games on before as well, during the same time as Raw. That didn't help, but I don't know if it excuses a historic low, like what we saw.
A historic low, 1.53 million average viewers, and that's a 0.41 in the 18 to 49. Now, we've had low numbers before. This one hits a little bit different because, number one, said game between the Browns and the Ravens, even that was down a little bit in the ratings, and it was still very good. But here's the kicker. Here's the kick in the pants, right? AEW, in that key demo, 18 to 49, beats Raw.
Yeah,
that's massive result for AEW.
It's huge. I'm looking forward to seeing how many times they reference it on this week's Dynamite.
I think maybe 1 million. So obviously, Raw overall, more people watch Raw, but it's all about that key demographic. We talk about it every week, 18 to 49, and falling well under. This is going to lead to some concern within WWE. WrestleVotes tweeting out, talking to a source just now who said the record low Raw rating isn't sitting well with those in power, to a point where they expect some reactionary decisions to be made. Time will tell. We've seen this play out before, haven't we, Jack?
We have. We've seen reactionary decisions in two different ways, I think, from WWE. And one of the ways they do very well, the other way they don't. So the reactionary decisions that I think WWE do very well is when there's an unexpected injury on the eve of a pay-per-view or something happens and they've got to scramble a match together. Do you remember we had, I think, Balor versus Styles out of nowhere when Bray Wyatt was ill? And it was fantastic. Kurt Angle, as weird as it was, Kurt Angle in the Shield, that was really entertaining as well. They're good sometimes when they're flying by the seat of their pants, but when it's a deliberate reactionary decision, when it's a decision that's been made in panic almost rather than out of necessity, that's when I think they often fall down, and we see things like, as somebody mentioned in the work chat earlier, I can't remember, was it you? It mentioned the calling up of Gargano and Ciampa and all that, and then that got scrapped, and it was very strange business.
Yeah, they have a tendency just to knee-jerk this. I have a feeling that we're a couple of hours away from hitting that in case of emergency break glass Vince McMahon button. Because that seems to be a thing they do when ratings are down. Vince McMahon will be on Raw this week.
Ric Flair in again, and yeah.
I'm gonna predict McMahon taking a Claymore by December 31st.
It's not a bad shout. That's not a bad guess at all. I don't think it'll go well. That's just a prediction, but I do think it might make things a bit more interesting, because the way that the landscape was at the moment, it seemed like Drew and Roman were going to carry those two major world titles all the way through to WrestleMania, and now don't know what's going to happen if this turns out to be true.
AEW cock-a-hoop this morning, no doubt, with that Raw rating result, but also some big stuff happening away from Daily's Place. Kenny Omega rocking up at Impact last night. What's going down there, Jack?
His first match has been confirmed for the future, and I think it sounds like a pretty interesting one. So am I right in saying it's going to be a 6-man tag team match with the club?
Indeed it is. So Kenny Omega, the Good Brothers, back together, throwing that up, taking on Rich Swann and the Motor City Machine Guns. We had a heel turn last night for the Good Brothers, attacking Chris Sabin and Rich Swann, and then this led to the announcement with the gathered forces of Omega, Gallows, Anderson, and Don Callis that at Hard to Kill, Impact's first pay-per-view of 2021, January the 16th, we're going to see a 6-man tag. This is very intriguing. I'm really up for this. Are you?
I am, but I don't know who's going to win. I think it could go one of two ways. You'd expect Omega to win his first match in a new promotion, obviously. But at the same time, I feel like maybe if the face team win, and one of them, possibly Rich Swann, gets a pinfall over not Omega, that might lead to a title match a title versus title match with Kenny Omega, because of course Rich Swann is at the moment the Impact World Champion. So I think this could go a variety of different ways, actually.
I absolutely 100,000 million bajillion quintillion % do not want to see Rich Swann take a pinfall in that match. No way
I don't think Rich
do we
Swann
want to see that guy
will,
go down. No, I think if he gets the pin over Gallows or Anderson, great. I can't see Omega getting the pin. Maybe I see Omega pinning one of the machine guns and them setting up title versus title that way, because there's no way. If it hurts either champion to take a pinfall at this point.
Yes, of course.
But it'll be a hell of a match.
I think it's probably going to lead to Omega versus Swann at some point down the line, isn't it?
One would hope. One would hope that's where we go. Final battle going down this Friday for Ring of Honor, and it's gone a bit Pete Tong, Jack. It's gone a little bit Pete Tong. What's occurring?
It certainly has, because a very prominent Ring of Honor star has unfortunately tested positive for COVID-19. It's none other than EC3 as well. He confirmed to Chris Van Vliet that he had tested positive, and as a result he will not be part of Final Battle on Friday. He said, "I've been quarantined for a week to 10 days. At this point I have COVID and I'm at the tail end of it," which is obviously good news. We want to wish him a very speedy recovery. It sucked a little bit, he said. Some of it wasn't bad. I'm healthy, so I was fortunate. It infected my parents who were visiting me. Whoops, is literally what he said. That's not me being insensitive. It infected my parents who were visiting me. Whoops. So they had to stay longer, so I've had no alone time. I would say I'm at 90%. This is the tail end of it. I've had none of the respiratory issues. It felt like the flu and a moderately bad cold some of the time. Others as well, though. He's not the only one who's been removed from Final Battle. Others have been removed as well, including Bandido, Flamita, and Kenny King as well. So, I mean, WWE perhaps not the only promotion making big changes in the near future. Certainly not.
But the issue being that obviously Ring of Honor is they've been very well organised and everything's in the can heading up to Final Battle on Friday. So much so that the only time they get to announce any changes is actually an hour before the pay-per-view, where they have a pre-show. And it's there that they're going to reveal the new card. This is a really sucky hand that has been handed to Ring of Honor, who have made tentative steps to return. They've been very cautious, and this has led to some big gaps in the show. Either way, Final Battle's going down on Friday without some big players. And finally, if you're going to get endorsement from anybody within WWE's Hall of Fame, Stone Cold Steve Austin is one of the higher guys to get it from, right?
It's not bad.
It's a good one, isn't it? What's Stone Cold Steve Austin been saying about Pat McAfee, Jack?
He's been praising Pat McAfee. We only recently saw CM Punk simultaneously praise Pat McAfee and insult the rest of the WWE roster. And on ESPN's Monday Tailgate yesterday, Steve Austin was praising Pat McAfee as well, saying he puts it all on the line, he's going for it. Basically, I think his verbal skills, he's slaying everybody. Very similar sentiment there to what CM Punk was saying, suggesting that Pat McAfee is on a level above all of these pro wrestlers. But he's not afraid to go out there and put it all on the line. You wouldn't expect that from a guy that kicks the football, because, of course, Pat McAfee, despite being an NFL player, he is not one of the more historically combative positions in American football. He's a punter. But he is, as we've seen, incredibly athletic at the same time. So Austin goes on to say, but no, Pat McAfee is badass. I think he's doing a really, really good job. I give him a solid A. Austin there doing a bit of graded, so take our jobs.
He's stepping on our toes, mate.
He is, yeah. Let's beat him up, Tom. We can do it.
You and I together, let's go on straight up Steve Austin, pretend to be guests, and then when he's not expecting it, we'll give him a Becky Lynch stunner like she did that time.
We'll just beat him up with our manliness.
We're so manly, mate, aren't we?
Yeah,
honestly, we are so manly. It's unreal. Have a safe day. We're back later with more news. Love you, bye.